Good morning, everyone. I am Raksha Sheth and I'm representing Atharved. I'm interning at Atharved from the past 6 months in the domain of artificial intelligence. And today we will be beginning our first session on artificial intelligence. And I will be giving you a brief introduction on what is artificial intelligence, what are the different misconceptions which we have on artificial intelligence, the various terms which are, used along with artificial intelligence, such as machine learning, deep learning, and where are its applications, and how is the job trend right now, and what is the future scope of AI. So I'll begin now. If you all know that our world is becoming more and more technologically embraced. We wake up in the morning. We have a technology which is, we keep alarms on our phone, so that is what wakes us up. We go, we have our induction cookers and everything, microwaves which help us, in cooking, making food and all. We have machines, washing machines which helps us wash our clothes, dishwashers which do the dishes. So you see that somewhere or the other, everywhere, technology has actually overtaken many functions of our life, which otherwise would have required a lot of manual power or manual work. So one of the now that it's becoming so much developed and evolved, one of the main terminologies which is coming up right now is AI, artificial intelligence. So this is one buzzword which is like really being used everywhere. Wherever you see, you say that AI is involved here, AI is involved there, AI is involved in social media, in military, and so on. So we will be going through how AI is actually impacting our life. And without further ado, I will begin with the presentation now. All right, so we will be talking on the introduction to artificial intelligence. So I'm sure all of you have seen this on your mobile phones, right? You must have used Siri at some time or the other in your life to carry out simple basic functionality. It might be, calculating some numbers, or checking the calendar, browsing through the internet, or anything. It can be done either on your phones or on your desktop as well, where you just have to give voice commands, and whatever you've asked for actually, comes up. So all this somewhere is linked to the world of artificial intelligence. So talking about artificial intelligence, the term AI, artificial intelligence, was coined back in 1956, but AI has become, more popular, more known today. So why is this actually happening now? This is because we have better data volumes, better algorithms, and improvements in the computing power and storage, which was not available back in those days. So as we develop more and more in technology, we definitely see more improvements in the world of AI. So as I've already brought in the terminology AIs, let us begin with what is artificial intelligence. So before going on to what is artificial intelligence, I will just begin with what exactly can we define intelligence with. So I'm sure you all know human beings possess inborn intelligence. We don't learn it from others. It's not derived. It's just we are born with it. So intelligence can be defined as the mental capacity that governs every activity in a living body. We adapt, change, and heal all on our own. So, when, say, even as kids, when there's a lot of, when there's a bright light flashed on our face, we automatically know that we have to cover our eyes or, close our eyes. So nobody teaches us this, but it is basic, mental capacity that makes us understand how to react to such situations. So we can call this as intelligence. This intelligence is what causes an apple tree to grow from a tiny seed, or for a giraffe to form from a single cell. So now that we know what is intelligence, let us see what is artificial intelligence. Wikipedia defines the term artificial intelligence as machines or computers that mimic cognitive functions. So cognitive functions are basically functions related to the human mind. That is learning, problem solving, thinking, analyzing, and so on. So we have used the word mimic here, right? Mimics cognitive functions. So mimic means to copy or to find a pattern and use it. So this is not actually real, right? We are copying something which is real. So If it is not real, we term it as artificial. So this we can say is artificial intelligence. Now, artificial intelligence has a lot of domains involved, and hence we can say it's a multidisciplinary field. So we have computer science and we have electrical electronics engineering. So the knowledge of these are combined together to give the software and hardware which is required for AI. So these determine how AI can be put to use in software and hardware. Along with this, we have the knowledge of mathematics and statistics, which gives us, which helps us determine better models and the performance measure. Say, I have to calculate two numbers, addition of two numbers, 3 and 4. So we know that the answer is 7. But if we get an answer of 5, we know that there is an error over here, right? So we need to calculate the error and know how to correct it. So this is where we can say, mathematics and statistics comes into use. Also, AI is modeled according to the human brain. So we have the concepts of psychology and linguistics involved in knowing how the AI must work. Also, our AI must follow ethical. It must be very ethical and follow the right ways. And we must give recommendations on intelligence as well. And this is where philosophy comes into use. The knowledge of all these domains together is what gives us artificial intelligence. So now that we know what is artificial intelligence, let us move on to the next buzzwords. I'm sure you must have heard machine learning and deep learning. You must have heard about these as well. So how is machine learning or deep learning different from AI? We shall now see the difference between these three terminologies. So have you ever seen these dolls? These dolls are known as Matryoshka dolls, very popular Russian dolls, in which you can see that there is one doll within the other, and goes on. We can somewhat explain the terminologies of AI, ML, that is machine learning, and DL, that is deep learning, with the help of these dolls. We could say that AI is the biggest doll of all, which houses everything within itself. Machine learning is a smaller subset of AI, under which we have another subdomain that is deep learning. So AI is the biggest doll, followed by machine learning and deep learning within it. So let us talk about AI again. AI is a branch of computer science dealing with simulation of intelligent behavior, and it basically demonstrates activities and functions which are associated with human intelligence. So IBM, when IBM had to define the functionality or features of AI, they said that AI would have social intelligence, planning, learning, reasoning, problem solving, knowledge, perception, motion, manipulation, and creativity. So these are all the factors which would define the features that must make a good AI. Moving on to the next terminology, we have machine learning. Machine learning is a subset of AI that uses computer algorithms to analyze data and make intelligent decisions based on what it has learned without being explicitly programmed. So there are algorithms which make decisions without humans programming how to make these decisions. So we will have another definition here using three terms: experience, performance measure, and tasks. So using these three terms, I will put up another definition. A computer program is said to learn from its experience E with respect to some class of tasks T and performance measure P if its performance at tasks T as measured by P improves with experience E. Now, I'm sure you must be thinking, what is going on, right? Like, so many terms and a little bit complex definition. Let us go on. I will try to make this a little bit more easier for you with the help of an example. So how many of you like pizza? I personally really enjoy pizza, and hence I'm using pizza as an example for you to understand this very definition. So to make pizza, we have 6 different tasks. The first one is arranging all the ingredients required. It can be flour, yeast, water, butter, whatever we need for the pizza. We then prepare the dough with flour and other ingredients, and this dough is kept aside for some time so that it can rise. We then prepare the desired toppings for the pizza, vegetables, sauces, and everything. And once we make the dough and everything, we arrange everything on the baking tray. This is then baked, and we have a perfect pizza. So I'm very sorry if any one of you is hungry right now, but I have to really use this example so that all of you can understand how exactly learning takes place. So this is the exact order people usually use for making a pizza. Say I'm a beginner in making pizza and I really don't know. I just know the task, but I don't know what order they have to be formed in. So in my first trial, I cut the vegetables, then I get the remaining ingredients for the dough, I prepare the dough, I then have the tray ready, I bake it, and then I make my pizza, but I don't bake it for the right time. I bake it for much longer and it turns out bad. So I bake it for a very long time and it takes about 3.5 hours for me. And it's an ultimate failure. So, the trial, just for the trial, I can rate it a 2 on 10. Coming next, I follow the same pattern once again. And this time I bake it for the correct time. Probably if it's for 20, 30 minutes, I bake it exactly for that time. And I take half an hour lesser. So for this attempt, I can say I have passed because I get the pizza, but I would give it a 4 on 10, because it's taking so much time. Next time I decide, okay, let's shuffle the, pattern. So I have the, ingredients, I prepare the dough, I then set the tray. This time I decide, okay, let me try cutting the vegetables into bigger slices. So I cut it into, bigger chobs and slices. Then I bake it and I get the pizza. So I have the vegetables cut into larger pieces, but since I already set, the dough earlier, it becomes a little hard. So since it takes lesser time this time, I would say, okay, I've passed, but with a 5 on 10, I can still improve. So I repeat the same thing, but vegetables cut into smaller sizes. And I realize, hey, this is much better to eat. It's better to munch down rather than the bigger slices. But I still keep, I make the dough, I prepare the tray earlier itself. And then at the end, I put the topping. So I get a hard crust again. So the vegetables are cut right, but it is the, the crust which is having the problem. So since the vegetables are fine, I would give it a 6 on 10 this time. Now I decide, okay, wait, let us try one more way of shuffling this. So this time I follow the exact order of things. I first prepare the dough, I have the vegetables cut, then I prepare the tray. After everything is ready, I bake it. And this time it is a success, So I see that there's half an hour reduction. It's only 2 hours this time. And I would give it an 8 on 10. So now I'm much more confident. I know that, okay, this is how it's done. So the next time I do it much quicker and it's perfect. I finish it within 1.5 hours, the entire process, and I would give it a perfect 10 on 10. So what you see here, these 6 tasks were done in different ways. And, there's an experience because there are 6 trials which are done here. And with every trial, I see that, the scores are varying. So if I have to check the performance, I see that with every trial, my performance is just improving until I know what is the best. So here, I have done more trials, I have done more experiencing for the same set of tasks until my performance was good and optimum. And this is what is learning. So if the same thing, this is how a human learns. But if the same, this analogy applied to computers, then this is what is machine learning. Moving on to the next terminology, we have deep learning. So what exactly is deep learning now? It's a specialized subset of ML which uses neural networks to analyze. So neural networks are formed somewhat similar to the human neural system. So these are used to analyze different factors with a structure that is similar to the human neural system. It is what enables AI systems to continuously learn on the job and improve the quality and accuracy of results, whether determining whether the decisions were correct or wrong. So if the decisions were wrong, it would just go back, trace, make corrections, and it would go ahead and see that the decisions are better, the outcomes are better rather. So it's based on the neural system of the humans, and it just checks and takes the right path, when they have to make any decisions. So we have already spoken about machine learning, but what is the difference between traditional programming, the programming which all of us have been doing? I'm sure most of your engineers who have joined here, uh, you might have a little bit of experience in programming, or you might know that, okay, 3 plus 4 is 7, something like that. So what is the difference between the basic programming and machine learning? We will first begin with traditional programming. So first we have data. Say my motive for the day is to add 3 and 4. So I have the data, the numbers 3 and 4. Then I have the rules. My rule is simple. I have to add them both. I then prepare the program or algorithm, that is, 3 plus 4 is equal to the sum, and hence I get the answer as 7. So my data with some rules gives me the answers. So there's an input with the program which gives us the output. Coming next, we will see what machine learning does now. Let's take the same example, 3 plus 4 is 7. So I have the data 3, 4. Instead of the rules, I give the answer, that is 7. So I have 3, 4 as the data and 7 as the answer. And I have a program or algorithm which finds out what are the rules. So at the end, it determines that addition has taken place, and hence I have derived to the answer. So here we have input and the output, which gives me the programming logic. So this is where machine learning differs from traditional programming. Now, we have learned all about this theoretical part, but I'm sure you must have seen AI somewhere in your, everyday life, right? You must have seen applications of it going on. You might never realize also that, AI is taking place over there. So let us see some everyday examples where AI has been impacting in our lives. First, we can begin with spam filtering. Almost everyone uses, their email IDs, and you might see that some messages are automatically in the spam folder. You need not even, choose them and put them as junk. It's already there in junk email. So, these emails might be where you won like, $4 million or something. It's really fake because almost everyone gets these emails. But, how does the computer or, your email ID determine this and put this in the junk email is all how AI works. So one is spam filtering. Next, we have smart assistants. You have Amazon Echo, Google Home, all of these. You just have to tell them, okay, play me a song or update me with today's headlines, and all they will respond to what you say. So smart assistants, again, how AI involved in how they work. We then have recommendations. I personally really enjoy PewDiePie, so I've taken this as an example. I watch a lot of PewDiePie videos and I really enjoy watching his content. So even though there is a main video, you will see that on the side, I get other recommendations of all PewDiePie videos itself, because the computer has realized what I enjoy watching, and they want to give me the content which I will still continue enjoying more. So hence I have PewDiePie videos more and more in my up next. You can see here there's up next written with all the other videos. So these recommendations are used to analyze what you enjoy and give you back what you might enjoy watching next. It's the same thing which works in Netflix and everything. So I'm sure you must be seeing similar categories of movies and shows. When you're watching some type, suppose you're watching more of mystery, then you'll get more recommendations of shows revolving around mystery, thriller, and so on. Search engines, I'm sure everyone has experienced this. Ignoring the first three results, if you see, I have just typed artifi, and the remaining last ones are all the probable searches I might need. So this makes my search much more quicker. I don't have to type the whole thing, whatever I need to search for. Say I want to actually search for an artificial intelligence course. So rather than typing all the characters for it, I can just get this result and I can go directly to it. Also, we have seen that whenever we draft emails and all, we automatically have spell checks on our emails and so on. So this helps us to generate much more efficient emails and helps us in saving the time that we need to go and check every word and see which is right and which is wrong. Also, how many of you know about deep fakes? Has anyone of you heard about deep fakes? I will just introduce you what deep fakes is. So probably after this session, it might be an exercise for you to just go and watch what deep fakes actually is. So Barack Obama is one of the favorite individuals for deep fake videos. So what exactly happens is you take a person and you create a video which is not at all real. So some videos of Barack Obama are not even real. It's all digitalized and fabricated with the help of AI. I'll show you how. So here on the left we have a person with a green background, and his movements are used to apply on a personality's character, say Barack Obama's character. So you can see the way the head moves and the mouth movements, everything is being portrayed on Barack Obama. So this is how deepfake videos actually come into use. So you see that the one in the middle is the actual product, but the one on the side is how one of the images in between the process. So you can see that the background is being warped in between, it moves along with the head and so on. So this is being transformed to the face of Barack Obama, and after refining this video, we finally have the one in the middle, which actually has a clear background with only Barack Obama's face moving as per the source is acting. We also have another video over here. You see that the person's face on the right, the same expressions are being replicated on Vladimir Putin's face. So you see, AI has really evolved a lot and is being made to fabricate such videos. Now these videos are not real, Putin isn't actually making those expressions, and hence they're known as fake. So deep fake, there's a deep learning involved and it's fake. So these are deep fake videos. Let us see some more applications of artificial intelligence. So as discussed, it's already used in spam filtering, it's used in speech transcription. So I'm sure you might have seen this around. What you speak is converted into text, and that's how Siri analyzes, or Google, everything. They get to know what you're speaking as it gets converted into text. So conversion of speech to text is known as speech transcription. Then we have recommendations. We have social media. So you see that when you surf on Instagram or something, you get recommendations of whom you might want to follow based on the mutual friends. So again, this is all applications of AI. You have automation where robots are working. You have health tracker like Fitbit. You have stock predictions, e-commerce, and virtual assistants. Let us take one particular domain at a time and let's see how AI is actually impacting. So I'll begin with computer vision. So computer vision is used in many fields. So I'm just taking 4 different applications and explaining how they help. In medical imaging, it's used to detect cancerous moles and find symptoms in body scans. For self-driving cars, Tesla is making a lot of development improvements in self-driving cars. So we see that these are used to identify obstacles or other vehicles and to read the road signs. In facial recognition, how facial recognition uses AI, we have social media. In Facebook, I'm sure when you upload a photo, you already have some people's faces which are highlighted for probable tags. You get that, is this say person ABC. So that is facial recognition, and it's also used to identify criminals in recorded videos. We also have image analysis that's used to identify objects and track patterns. We also have chatbots. I'm sure you know what chatbots is. On some websites, when you go, you have something known as live chat. So until a human comes and interacts with you, you have the AI, the computer responding to your own questions. So these are known as chatbots. These are used in medical applications for questioning patients and performing basis diagnosis. We then have for retail, that is used for resolving or tracking or any issues which is there related to your orders. It can also cover up for the agents, as if the agents have gone for a break, the computer can respond to you until that time and see where it can help and solve your queries. For educational applications, it's used for easy education programs and virtual Q&A. Also in banking, you will see that AI has done a lot of remarkable changes. It's used to detect financial frauds. It's used in identify credit card theft. So say I am swiping my card in India, but tomorrow my card is seen as in the database. If you see it's being used in Romania or somewhere, so that's definitely not, something is wrong there, right? So that is where it is caught by the computers using AI, and it's reported to us if we are actually say in Romania or if it's something else going on with our accounts. Then for financial crimes, it's used to monitor our investments and detect financial inaccuracies. So say some stock predictions go wrong, or see today one UAE dirham is equal to 20 Indian rupees. So tomorrow, if someone hacks and it changes to 6 Indian rupees, immediately AI can catch this out and stop it from being published or any transactions from taking place. Also, in the field of medicine, we see that AI has done a lot of changes. We get cheaper alternatives, so you can do a comparison of all the different alternatives that are available. You get information, everything online, so what can be done for a given, you can say disease, or if any surgery is needed, what all possible surgeries can be done. There's also analysis of drugs on different patient roles. Say I'm introducing a drug in the community, and initially I'll have to do a test. So when I do a test, I will check if the drug works well for both male or female, or if there is any side effects for people over the age of 65, or if kids are responding good to it. I don't think they there are like countless applications you can have for drug analysis. So I'm sure COVID, right now that COVID vaccine is coming up. So they can't manually go and check every analysis of every single patient. So all these is just fed onto the computer, and this analysis is carried out by AI. We can also have quicker diagnosis. You can have quick symptom matches and issue identification as well. So we have spoken all about applications and all. So let us now move on to types of AI. Is AI the same everywhere, or are there different types as well? So let us see. AI can be classified in two different ways, based on its functionality and based on its capabilities. So based on functionality, we have reactive machines, limited memory, theory of mind, and self-awareness. Based on capability, we have ANI, AGI, and ASI. Now, before you all get confused with what is ANI, AGI, ASI, I'll be beginning with the capabilities part of the capabilities subdivision of AI first. ANI stands for Artificial Narrow Intelligence. So this is also known as narrow AI or weak AI, and is goal oriented. That means it performs one task, so one particular goal which has to be attained. So it can perform given tasks, but not develop new functionality. It's weak because machines perform under someone's, instructions, and it cannot replicate human intelligence. So examples of these, you have Alexa, Siri, Cortana, Bixby, and so on. So all of these, you can say virtual assistants are all ANI. Then we have artificial general intelligence, AGI, which is a strong AI or deep AI. So it can interact and operate multiple unrelated and independent tasks. So it can teach itself new strategies and develop newer tasks and can perform at a level of human intelligence. So development seems to take some time. So, we're almost trying to reach what is AGI, and research is still going on. One attempt was actually made for AGI, and that was by Fujitsu. So Fujitsu built a computer K, which had about 82,000 processors. But this computer took 40 minutes just to simulate 1 second of neural activity. So you see that so much of time was taken just to generate one particular second. So currently, there's more research going on how this can be made much more better. Next, we go on to ASI, that is artificial super intelligence. So this is AI with human consciousness, that is, it is self-aware. It knows what is going on. So it just surpasses the capacity of human intelligence. It knows everything on the world. It doesn't have to, go and search on any search engine or anything. So it understands judgment, decisions, emotional understanding, and performs puzzle solving. The problem is that, defining consciousness is a little difficult. Different people might say that consciousness is something else. So reaching this level seems a little bit difficult as of now. And this would probably be the last human invention, not because robots are taking over the world, but because once we perform ASI, the remaining inventions would all be performed only by AI because they know everything. They need not personally go and check data sheets of different, transistors or resistors. They know everything. So last invention by humans would be ASI, but the forthcoming inventions would be by the AI itself. Moving on to the next subdivision, we finished capabilities. So now we'll go on to the other subdivision. The first one was reactive machines. So what are reactive machines? These are the simplest type of AI machines. You give it some stimuli and it just responds to it. So it reacts to given input with some output. No learning actually takes place here, and there's no memory involved here. Focus is only on the current scenario and immediate response. So since it's only on the current scenario, memory really doesn't need to get involved in this. So one example is IBM's Deep Blue. So this is one of the very famous reactive AI machines which beat the chess grandmaster Garry Kasparov in 1997. So back then in 1997, AI was so strong, that IBM created Deep Blue just to defeat the chess grandmaster in a game of chess. Now we know what are reactive machines, where there is no memory involved. Now we have limited memory, which stores previous data or predictions and uses this to make better predictions. It's a little bit more complex than reactive machines because memory is involved, and most of the machine learning models comes under this style. So following this, we have theory of mind. One example, of limited memory, you can say, is say facial recognition. Every time the camera captures a face, you get, say, a rectangle box around it. So the computer learns, to put a box only after it has the memory or it has been trained to analyze and understand what a human face is. So this is one example, you can say, of limited memory. Moving on, we have theory of mind. Here, AI begins to interact with the thought and emotion of humans. So currently, all AI have only a one-way relationship with humans. Say, I turn on my, virtual assistant and say, Siri, just play me a song. Or I say, Siri, please play me a song. So depending on both the emotions, the output is the same. I would just get a song. So there is no interaction with the human emotions, with from the AI. So it's expected to understand human needs, emotions, beliefs, and thought processes. The last one is self-awareness. So this is just a hypothetical concept. And here we believe that AI is self-aware and it has its own emotions and needs. So I'm sure you must have watched Rajnikant's robot movie, the first part, where the robot has its own emotions. So that would fall somewhere under the self-awareness part of AI, where the AI has its own emotions, needs, and would respond accordingly. I'm sure, listening to all of this, you must have been really interested to know what is the job trend of AI? How is it actually going on in the industry? So the global market, for products and services related to machine learning had invested around 1.4 billion in dollars in 2017, but now by 2020 it has become 8.8 billion dollars. So you see, a lot of upscaling is there, and a lot of investments are there. So expertise in machine learning is the most in demand skill today. The position of a machine learning engineer is currently the third most in demand job in the field of artificial intelligence. So, a report by Gartner had said that by the end of 2020, there would be 2.3 million new jobs. It's not existing ones, but new jobs would be available in the industry. And machine learning is ultimately going to impact every industry. AI will come, and there will be improvements everywhere. So actually investing and learning machine learning is really beneficial. If we see the most in demand artificial intelligence jobs, this is a report by Indeed which said that ML engineer falls on the first rank. And comparing the requirements in 2015 to 2019, there has been 344% increase in the requirement. In the top 25 jobs, we see ML being the first ML engineer, robotics engineer falls on the 11th place, computer vision engineer falls on the 13th place, and data scientist in the 22nd place. So you see, in the top 25 jobs, you have 4 jobs under the field of artificial intelligence. So it's actually really good. It seems very interesting to join this field. So if we see the salary ranges for AI engineers in India, how AI engineers are, earning, and how is their lifestyle going on. This is a report by Upgrad, which was just recently uploaded in 2020, August. Say for different levels, we are just calculating the salary. For freshers, average salary will be from 6 LPA to 12 LPA. Someone with 2 to 4 years experience, coming from a small company, might have 5 LPA, and it goes on up to 20 lakhs per annum. 4 to 8 years of experience will have from 35 to 50 lakhs per annum, and over 10 years would get over rupees 1 crore per annum. Say now we have seen India, let us say USA for consideration. So occupation, and now we are considering different occupations under the artificial intelligence domain. So for ML engineer gets over $114,000 per year average salary. Then we have data scientists with over 120,000, deep learning engineer 180,000, data engineer 130,000, more than 130,000, computer vision engineer 148,000 and more, comparing to a software engineer who gets $107,000 per year, and a research scientist who gets 110. So you see, there's actually a lot of scope in this field and a lot of requirement in this field, and you would also earn well if you think of shifting domains, or participating in this realm of artificial intelligence. We know that AI is there right now, but what is the future scope? Is there any will there be any developments? Is it good enough to join now? Will it be better in the future or something? Let us see now. So AI in cybersecurity is set to take a lot of, a lot more developments. I'm sure you have seen deepfake videos. So in the coming years, you never know. You can't even trust the videos that are being generated. Hence, such security issues are really important. Also, us as individuals, we are becoming more and more, technologically dependent. So all our information, our credit cards, our bank information, everything is online. So this has to be safely secured, and for this, AI actually has to be made much more better to prevent these possible hacker attacks. AI in transportation. Self-driving cars are already there. I'm sure you must have seen videos, you must have heard about it, you must have seen how it, drives on the road. But there might be more and more, you can say developments coming in transportation, where it can go not only from cars, but probably to bigger, heavier vehicles such as buses and trucks. Or you never know, there might be a day when you actually fly in an aeroplane without a pilot. So AI in emotion bots. As I've already told, chatbots are, they just respond to what you ask them, but there is no emotion involved. But there might be a day when these bots are made to understand the human emotions and respond as such. There are a few people say, in the field of psychology, or when psychiatrists are there, if the psychiatrist is not available at all times, they say that their patients always need someone to hear them out. So emotion bots can be, used where they can hear out the patient, and they can say exactly what the patient wants to hear. If the patient wants to hear something, comforting, the bot can say it to you. Or if they want to hear something motivational, the bot can encourage you to do so. Next, we have AI in marketing. So I'm sure you don't even have to open Amazon and Flipkart apps to know when is the Big Billion Sale or the Great Indian Sale. It's there everywhere. So how this happens? There might be websites which you visit for the first time and you already see an advertisement over there. So marketing, e-commerce, retail, all of these use AI to understand what all you visit quite often and put these you can say advertisements over there. So it can be done more and more. Now I'm sure if you see your purse, say I shop for a purse on Myntra, or I'm just scrolling and seeing Myntra for any handbags. The next time I go on any website or open an app, I would see non-stop advertisements of the same purse. So this is how marketing is involving AI, and it's bound to improve in the coming years. AI in houses. So we have you can say smart houses. We have buttons. We have remotes for when we wake up in the morning, we can just with a click of a remote, the curtains open up themselves, or based on your body temperature, the ACs can set themselves. So all these are there to there's a lot of in scope for innovation and improvement in these fields. AI in healthcare, you all already know that AI is making a lot of remark, but there might be a day when robots can independently perform surgeries for humans. Or even the next time you go to a robot in the coming years, say you have a small cut on your hand, it might be a bot giving you stitches. So AI is doing great remarks. And also in data analysis. Data analysis is basically analyzing whatever data is coming in and finding out trends in them. So currently, we as humans are performing these trends manually and analyzing themselves. We are giving in the instructions on what needs to be done. But say in the few years, as the research and developments are going on, AI is set to make a lot of changes in this field. So today we learned what is AI, what is AI, ML, and DL, difference in traditional programming versus ML, everyday examples and applications, the different types of AI, job trends, and the future scope. So thank you. Just a minute. Yeah. So any questions from you people? There will be a feedback link provided in the comments. So please give feedback for today's session. You can tell us where we can, improve ourselves for the coming sessions. In the coming sessions, we will be covering data. What is data? What is feature label? What are the different types of learning which takes place? There's supervised, unsupervised, reinforcement learning. So there'll be little brushing up on this. Then what are the different concepts which comes under, learning? There is classification, regression, clustering, and so on. So you can learn all on this. So if any questions, can you please enter it here? Please explain the difference again, Muskan. Muskan, difference of what? I didn't get you exactly. Would you please specify what exactly difference would you like to have? AI and ML, Afreen. ML and AI. Okay. So I can say AI is a bigger circle where you have everything involved. So concepts of data science can also be linked to AI, under which AI basically, wants to perform, uh, it's trying to replicate human behavior. So it can, robotics is involved under AI, but robotics, we wouldn't exactly link directly with machine learning, because automation is a little different. But machine learning and robotics can also be, they can have a common base. ML is more, you're using the computer algorithms to train. So say I said, facial recognition. uh, a computer is trained with human faces repeatedly, and say the next time I have my face and see a paper next to me, it would recognize my face and probably put a rectangular box next to it. So this is how ML comes into use, and AI has much broader, AI uses the concept of ML, since ML is a subdivision of it. Using Jupyter and ML, the problem is choice of good models. How to make a choice in good models for making my work better. Okay, Jupyter is just an interface actually. Jupyter Notebooks is an interface where you can perform this. So usually people opt for Jupyter Notebooks. To make better models, I'm sure you'll have to like come up for the next session, since they are going to talk about models on classification, regression, and clustering and so on. So you'll know how to choose the exact models you will need. There's a feedback session, given there. So feedback, please enter your feedback and tell us where we can improve for the coming sessions. We will inform you when the next session will be held. What's deep learning? Is it a part of AI? By the comment. Yeah, deep learning is a part of AI. As I said, AI is a very big sphere under which we have ML, under which we have deep learning. So deep learning, you can see, is a subset of machine learning. I think I've shown you deep fakes, right? So I will just enter it here. Deep fake videos. So you can go and explore this. So this is where deep learning exactly, is involved. It it actually, what it does is, you actually need not have to manually go and correct any mistakes that are there. The computer automatically traces back, tries to make the shifts, and then goes and checks if the corrections are made, or if the output is much more better. So there's a lot more. It's a little more complex part of AI, I can say. Yeah, the updates will be provided on the Telegram community. I would really recommend you to actually check out Deepfake's video, because that was how I was introduced in the world of AI, and I really enjoyed it. I think common targets are Mark Zuckerberg. There's a video of Mark Zuckerberg, deepfake video of Mark Zuckerberg, where he says, "I am here to steal all your data," which is actually really funny. So when I first saw that, I thought, okay, did he actually accept it? But it turned out to be a deepfake video. Then there's a video of Kim Kardashian as well. Barack Obama is like a favorite celebrity for all the deepfake videos. Then I think there's Theresa May and Vladimir Putin. Then I think Donald Trump is also like coming up now for the deepfake videos. So it's really really good. It's a good place to learn and explore and see how AI can be actually made more fun. But then again, there are like security issues as well. Okay, Afreen Akhtar, I want a career in cybersecurity plus AI. I'm already pursuing masters in cybersecurity. How do I start with AI? Uh, See, basically, to start with AI, you have to be good in math and you have to be good in coding, because math is one really strong part of AI. As I told you, there are errors. 3 plus 4 is actually 7, but it might be, you might get 5. So, how to correct the errors? What are the different types of calculations of errors? And there's a lot of calculus involved as well. So, that is where math is a very strong base or requirement, I can say, of AI. And then comes coding. So if you really want to start with AI, you can, you know, probably choose Python as a language, and you can start using simple libraries. There are basic libraries used in Python, such as Pandas and NumPy and OpenCV. OpenCV is Open Computer Vision, which is used for, say, facial recognition and all. So these are very simple. I'm sure to start with AI, you have to do self research, because since you're already doing masters in cybersecurity, I would say you can do online courses. Coursera has many options on it, and IBM gives good courses. There's a specialization on Coursera as well. So this is how you can be introduced, at least the introduction part of it. So once you know the fundamentals, you can explore yourself and enjoy as things go on. The session certification. Yeah, please fill the feedback form which is being provided. How can I apply for a job in AI? To be honest, uh, to apply for a job in AI, you actually have to show the expertise. All right. So I am also planning for masters, and when I was like looking through jobs, the most important part is they look through your projects. How well have you applied your concepts into the projects, and how well your projects work? If you know what is going on, if you can explain, and if you know basically, because every project starts from bare minimum, bare fundamentals. So if you know what are the basic libraries which are used, because that is where they will track you. So what I had seen was that when people want to apply for jobs in AI, they usually check the GitHubs, because GitHub is where you can store all your projects and all, and then they analyze how good you are at it. If your code is efficient, if it's compact, or if it's unnecessarily long, you can always reduce it. So to apply for a job in AI, I would say firstly you will have to make projects, do as many projects, and once you feel you're very confident, you can apply for a job in whatever field. And as a proof of your skills and your understanding in the domain of AI, you can like always give them a GitHub account and show your profile and portfolio. Thank you so much, Deva. How AI can help in agriculture. All right. I will give you one example. Okay. This I was interning somewhere and I got to know about this previously. Uh, Say there's a poultry farm. All right. So in a poultry farm, what happens is, uh, okay, for humans itself, when you see that humans, if I get a cold, if I keep sneezing around the house, it's very obvious that the other members of the house will also get cold, right? So it's the same thing in poultry farm. See, if one hen or a rooster falls sick, okay, and if this sick rooster is right there, it is bound to infect the other roosters as well. Say there's some disease which has come to one particular rooster or hen, and if this keeps spreading, it would just affect all of the poultry animals which are there, and they might either die or it would just affect the productivity. So how AI was used was they had set something known as thermal, I'm sure thermal imaging, which checks based on your body, based on the temperature, it gives different ranges. So if it's hot, it gives a more redder shade, and if it's cold, it gives a more bluer shade. So once you see, you set the average temperature that is required for a rooster or a hen. And once you see that any rooster is going a little more, their image, when you analyze it through a camera, is becoming slightly more redder, you realize that okay, probably this animal is infected, and you isolate them. So in this way, you get to know that it's much more better. You save the other animals as well, and there's better produce also. There's no delay in say they are used for producing egg and also eggs, you'll get it at the right time, and you don't have to wait until everyone gets well. You can just isolate the infected one. Normally using Kaggle dataset, how can I use to generate my own dataset? See, dataset is very difficult to be generated because AI needs a very vast dataset. That's, you might need thousands and millions and, so many records involved in it. So generating your own dataset might be very difficult. See, when you work in an AI job, it's not you generating a data set. There's already data which is being recorded, and it might be years of data. You there might be so many records involved, and that is given to you to perform whatever work has to be done. So I don't think you can generate your own data set because you need so many records. Having thousand, to be honest, hundreds and thousands is actually a very small data set for AI. If you see what other companies are working on, IBM, Microsoft, and all, it's millions and millions of records. This constant analysis. That's why you see it's not only me who gets ads of Flipkart or Amazon. Everyone gets it. The entire India gets it. So you see, everyone's data is being analyzed. So creating it, I don't really think. You need a lot of time for generating a data set. It again depends on your own what project you're working on. But then as of now, you can work on projects which are already available. Their data sets are already available in Kaggle. You might see the Titanic data set. I think some employment data set is there. The iris sepal petal width, those data sets and all are already available. Thank you so much. I hope it was really informative. So thank you everyone, and we will be ending the session for today.